for sticking around.
Yeah, so we'll get to you guys in a moment or two. I just thought I'd start things off a little here.
Yeah, why not?
So this is your third film, but it's the first one that you didn't write. So what brought you, when you saw the screenplay, what convinced you that you had to tell this story?
Well, after making two films in Spanish, which are The Incident and The Similars, if someone here wants to watch them, you can find them both on Netflix worldwide. They played here at the festival. But after those movies, I really wanted to do something, again, sci-fi, but English spoken, because I was really looking to get into those kind of movies. And at the same time, I really wanted to do a movie I didn't write, but a movie that I could still personally relate to and feel it would still be a story I would write, where I could still put my style and all my director's take on someone else's story. So I started reading many scripts, and I was reading scripts for over a year, a lot of projects that got to me, and I actually didn't like many of them. I felt them, they were too generic, not really special. But then I read Parallel, and I was like, whoa! I need to direct this movie. Since the first 5 pages of the script, I was so into it. And what I liked about the script so much is that I think Scott, the writer, has really layered what I call, it's not even a sci-fi movie, I actually see it more as a character drama with hints of sci-fi.
And very dialogue-driven.
And very character-driven and very dialogue-driven, of course, in terms that you have these 4 characters, and they all have these very intricate relationships. If you think about it, Lena has a very specific, peculiar relationship with Josh. At the same time, she has a very peculiar relationship with Noel and with Devin. And then Devin has a very peculiar relationship with Josh. And you know, that might seem obvious that you need to have that in any kind of story, but you don't. If you really think about it, in the scenes you have between all the characters, when they are together and when they are just two, you have all these intricate relationships. And at the same time, I saw it just as a very classic fable of playing with the fire from the gods, you know, which is something that the Twilight Zone picked up on in a great shape, and I really wanted to play with that. And I also like that the movie, it's kind of like the classic meets the modern, and that's something I could tell from the script. I was reading the script and I would see, okay, there are these sequences that I see more almost like a Twilight Zone episode, or like going even more to classic Hitchcock or De Palma. And there are these sequences where I imagine them more as as modern, as something more like montages, quick editing, and I saw that the script had a combination of those two elements, which is also I really like. And last but not least, play with the metaphor of the human element in the story, which is a metaphor toward ambition, which is something I like to do with sci-fi in all my movies. You use it as a human metaphor, so that's what I like from the script.
And you mentioned De Palma. While I was watching it, I noticed a lot of fantastic Steadicam work, a lot of split diopters in a few sequences, which of course is a De Palma trademark. And I think all of your films have been very visually dynamic, but particularly Parallel, you really got to play with a lot of stuff. Do you want to speak a little bit about that, about the look of this film? Yes,
it was very important for me and for Karim Hussain, the DP, who is also a Canadian DP. He couldn't be here tonight, today, but he's really helped me a lot in building that visual landscape of the movie. And what we both said is, this is a movie that, as you said, is very dialogue driven, because it's very character driven. There's a lot of dialogue in the film. And we didn't want it to have the film just a standard coverage, where you have one shot of this character and one shot of the other character. In many scenes we did that, because of the time in which we shot this movie, and also because in many scenes the important thing is the content, what they're saying, and the drama of what they're saying, and not really the visuals. But in other moments we just wanted to play around and make just a very aesthetically cool-looking movie that would step away from the standard coverage of when you have dialogue, which is quite a challenge to shoot a movie, try to shoot a movie in a special way when there's dialogue all the time. But then we also had the thing of the parallel universes, and because the story jumps from one universe to another so quick, we didn't want the audience to get lost or confused between which universe we're at. So we decided to establish very clear visual cues for each universe. That goes from the lenses with which we shot the movie. Every time we're in the normal universes, we're using spherical lenses, and every time we go to a parallel universe, we use anamorphic lenses, and you can tell from the distortion of the vignette and the anamorphic lens in the parallel universes make them look a little bit like we're in a dream, which is what we want, like the characters are in another world. But then at the same time, we use that with the camera work, where every time we're in the normal universe, the camera work, it's a little more standard, and every time we're in the parallel universes, the camera is flipping and doing spirals and all that. And then towards the end of the movie, both get combined because the characters are combining. You know, now we have characters from B world in A world, so that's why we combine both the dodges and all that. And then it was also in the color timing. We have every time it's a normal universe, it's a little more amber, and when you're in a parallel universe, it's a little more blue. The lights are blurred, all that. So that was a little bit what we play with the visual.
And it was very effective. Though I have to say, I felt like the main story might have been in a parallel universe, because Martin's character mentioned how $40 million could buy out the whole block, and that's definitely not Vancouver.
Well, maybe that was actually a very small hint to tell you that the whole movie is in a parallel universe. So I'm glad you figured
That's it. Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Anybody want to? Yeah, right here.
Thanks, it was a great film. I noticed you were trying to insert some humor into the parallel universe, and I like the Ryan Gosling. So, is there anything behind that? Is there anything more to that? Why you put that in there?
Yeah, in case you guys at the back can't hear, it's a question about how this film contains a lot of humor, and to speak to that.
Yeah, I like that. And that's something else I like from the script. It felt like it had like the fun and games part where the characters are just discovering the universes and playing around, almost as if this was a video game, you know, some kind of joke. It's actually quite long, and I like that. I like a good friend of mine once said any great sci-fi movie has to become a horror movie in the last 20 minutes, and I think this happens in parallel. I think the second half is a completely different movie. After Josh dies, you're like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that was going to happen. And now it becomes a very serious movie. And actually, a lot of people have told me they kind of miss Josh in the second half of the movie. But that's intentional, that you have all this fun and games, and then we discovered, things just got real, you know. So I really like to make that first half as fun as we could. And also, the movie is kind of like the tip of the iceberg of many things that you could explore with the idea. We were talking about it could maybe even be a TV series, you know, with so many things that could happen in parallel universes. So if you have this idea that there are other inventions and other intellectual property in parallel universes, why don't play with that, you know? That particular moment of the DVD, the Ryan Gosling, we had to struggle quite a bit because of the rights because originally I think it was going to be Die Hard, and it was going to be called something else, and then it was going to be Halloween, and we explored many possibilities, and we couldn't get the rights to do any image, so we decided it just needed to be a dialogue. So that's where it was at the moment when La La Land was coming out, when we were shooting, so, you know, Ryan Gosling, all that was very popular, so we thought of that. And then, I don't know if anyone here has seen my movie The Similars. You could tell in one of the universes we found the comic book of The Similars too. And then the actors, they also contribute to that a lot to this. Like the scene when they blow up the money, that dressing as the Godfather, that was actually Martin's idea. And I was like, yes, okay, let's do it. That's a fun. That scene originally was going to be actually a crash between two super like convertible cars. They were going to, because they want to, you know, they have so much money, they want to destroy it, so they were going to crash two cars. And 2 weeks before shooting, the producers called me to the office and say, there's no way we can do that scene. It's just too expensive. We're going to spend a lot in just 1 minute of 2 cars crashing, so you have to think of something else. So I started thinking, what can we do that actually carries the point of destroying something expensive? So what if we blow up a house? No, we can't do that because it's expensive. Anything we wanted to blow up, it would be expensive in the real world to get that done. So I thought, wait, why didn't they just blow up money? Because the fake money is not going to be expensive, which I learned it actually is. It was that pile of fake money was what, $3,000 just to make that pile. So it was less expensive than the cars. And then Martin said, why don't we dress like the A-Team? And I was like, Yeah, the A-Team, okay, they are kind of popular, but I'm not sure everyone's going to get that reference. So then the next day he comes, why not The Godfather? Everyone will get that reference. I was like, okay. So it was also, this movie was, it's a character movie, like I said, it's a lot. It's a movie also about the actors and the characters, so I listened a lot to them, to their ideas, and they came aboard with many of those ideas of the humor as well. Yeah.
Anybody else got some questions for us? Right here?
Yeah. Congratulations on all three of your films. They're all wonderful. I'm very happy to see them at the festival.
Thank you.
And I was wondering if you could speak to your experience filming in British Columbia and whether you have any plans to come back in the future for future films.
So yeah, speaking to the experience of filming in Vancouver, in BC, and potentially coming back in the future.
Yes, I'd love to. It was amazing shooting here in BC, you know. I found a lot of really, really talented people working here in the industry, a lot of talented crew, because a lot of movies and TV series get shot here, so there's a lot of people that have a lot of experience here. It was, you know, the essence of what we do while shooting a movie is the same as what we do in Mexico, but I felt that all the processes here were much more effective, much quicker, practical. For example, when I first got here, they thought this movie was shot in 23 days. So that, for me, I was really scared because, you know, my movies in Mexico, the incident was 24 days. The Similars was actually 30 days. That's the movie I've shot the longest. And then when I got here, Parallel was going to be 28 days. Then when we started pre-production, they told me now it's 25 days. And then 2 days before we started shooting, it became 23 days because we were over budget, we had to lose a few days. So I was really worried about how it doesn't make sense how I'm going to do this movie that has so many locations and stuff in 23 days. And the incident that was a super low budget movie in Mexico was 24 days, even more days than this. But then what I discovered is that actually 23 days off here is almost like 40 days of Mexico. Because what happens is that in Mexico, if the call time is at 7, maybe you start making your first shot of the day at 9:30, 10. And here, if the call time is at 7, you start shooting 7:15. You know, maybe it's more money spent on each day, but at the same time, each day is bigger, has more crew, has, you know, 2 cameras, all the machinery is bigger, and I felt like just everything was working and everything kept going, and it was the first time I could just come onto the set and just be the director, you know, and focus on directing the movie, which was actually really cool. When sometimes in Mexico I would be worried about, you know, if the catering is going to be in time, or here I was just, you know, directing the movie, which was great. So yeah, I had a really, really good experience working here. Actually, of those 23 days, I never felt I needed more time. Like there's one day we went overtime 1 hour, but in the Similars 30 days, every day I felt like I needed 3 more hours because the actors would spend 4 hours in makeup, but that was how that movie was conceived, you know. So yeah, it was a really great experience. I have many great friends here now after coming here to make the movie, and yes, I'd love to come back to shoot something here shortly. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Right over here, yeah?
Fantastic film. I'll go through. I loved it. What draws you specifically to the sci-fi genre? What really brings you towards the genre creatively?
Yeah, what is it about sci-fi that draws you to that genre, Isaac?
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad you liked it. And what draws me to this genre is, I guess, the opportunity of reflecting on very human, realistic emotions or themes or subjects through sci-fi. So for me, sci-fi is not, some people think sci-fi needs to be, you know, huge explosions and end of the world and aliens coming. And for me, sci-fi is more, something more psychological, something more that maybe can be very ambitious in what it's showing, but it can be very contained in the scope, which is kind of like this movie. I feel like we only get to see the very tip of the iceberg of what they're doing in the parallel universes, but there's another movie you don't see, and you go thinking about it, you know. So that's why I'm a huge fan of the Twilight Zone, where, you know, the whole world could be coming to an end, but you see the whole story through a basement and some families there, you know. So in that sense, I always like to use sci-fi in a way that is very ambitious but contained. And also to use the sci-fi or the fantastical element, which is not only in sci-fi, it can also be in a horror movie or whatever. Use the fantastical element to make a metaphor on something else, whether it's philosophical or social or political. So for example, in The Incident, I wanted to use that story of infinite spaces as a metaphor to time and how time keeps passing by and how we change physically and emotionally. And then in the similars, I wanted to make a metaphor on identity. And here I think it's about ambition. So that's part of what draws me to sci-fi, the chance of reflecting on a realistic human thing through sci-fi. And also, I just love exploring, other universes, and I'm sure a lot of you would leave this theater thinking about, oh wow, how is my B version in another universe and all that. So that's kind of what draws me to genre.
I thought I saw a hand in the back somewhere. Did somebody back there have a question? Maybe not. Oh yeah, right here. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. Do you know what you're doing next? Do you know what you want to do next?
Yeah, Isaac, what are you doing next?
Yes. Well, as I said, I would love to come shoot something here. I have a lot of projects in development. Some are in Mexico, some are more in the US. I'm at the point of my career where I don't like to say, oh, okay, I'm done with doing movies in Mexico, I'm coming here, but I'm also not going to say I'm done with here, I'm going to Mexico. I like to having, one foot here, one foot there, and whatever happens first. There's mainly two English spoken projects that I'm working on. One is a horror movie, an adaptation of a classic novel I really like, and the other one is more sci-fi around this vein, something that I'm writing. And then I have two projects in Mexico that are also more into horror, which I'm trying to get funding for. It's two very different industries. In Mexico, 80% of the movies are done funded by the government. You apply, you get the government grant, you make the movie. You don't get it, you don't get the movie. And here or in the US, there's more private funds to make movies. So I'm kind of like having one foot here, one foot there, and I just want to keep telling stories wherever I can tell my movies. If it's here, if it's in Europe, if it's wherever I can go, wherever a movie takes me, that's what I'm going to do next. So hopefully, one of all these projects will be confirmed soon.
Great. How are we doing time-wise? We got.
We could probably do one more question.
Okay, one more question if anybody's got one. Yeah, right at the top there.
So what happened at the end? That the mirror sort of came alive?
Yes.
So what happened? What happened there? I'm curious.
Yeah, I thought somebody might have a question about that.
Yeah.
About the ending. So.
I'm sure everybody has a question about the ending, which is part of the intention. So you said the mirror came alive. You mean the mirror in the restroom, in the bathroom, right?
Yeah. So it's obvious that the person from the parallel universe came into the present time.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. That's one of the things I changed from the original script, where it was more. It was just a happy ending. The couple lives listening to the radio, they kill the bad guy, it's all good. But I felt sci-fi movies don't deserve endings like that, because I like endings that leave you, thinking more, like you're thinking right now, and like asking like the question you're asking now. So I wanted to make an ending that still would leave some questions open. So I came up with that idea that if we have already explored all the alts of the other characters, but we've never seen the alt version of Lina, why doesn't she just get switched? And also across the whole film, we've been thinking they are like the main universe, and all the other universes are like sub-universes. What if there's another universe that also wants to switch with them? So I came up with that idea, and I also like that it's kind of like bookmarking the movie. If you see the movie opens with Marisa being switched, and then ends with Lina being switched. And even the music score, Edy Lan also did a score that is the same score when Marisa is entering the house in the beginning of the movie, then the ending when they are getting on the car and the car is leaving away, like bookmarking the film, which is something I like to do. I've done in my 3 films where we start here, we come see all this ride, and then we go up again. It's like a bookmarking the movie. But then when we show the film for test screenings, some people were confused about how is Lina be in that world. So I always thought there's 3 options of what that might mean. Option A is she wasn't switched at all. She's just the same Lina, but because you are already paranoid. You've been watching this movie about parallel universes. Just the fact that she doesn't remember listening to the pixels make us think that, oh, she's being switched. So that's option A. Option B is what you're saying. The mirror is alive somehow. Maybe they have developed certain properties that makes now that they've been through the mirror so many times, now every time they are in another mirror, they bring their outs out, which is something very creepy. If you think about it, tomorrow you can be washing your teeth and suddenly your out comes from the mirror. And then option C might be that there were many Lena B's in this universe that Noel brought with him, whatever, and one of them went to the bathroom and switched with her, but she never came from that mirror from the bathroom. But I ended up liking option B better, and I think people were liking option B more, so that's why we added the sound. In the bathroom, you hear the sound, so that sound tells you that it's actually that mirror she's coming from. So it's exactly the way you understood it. I mean, for me, that's how it is. They have developed a certain essence in their bodies that now they can bring out their outs from any mirror, but it's still open from all those three options, or more options that anyone here might like to think about. So it's an open ending.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Gracias.
All right, well, that's all we have time for. So thanks again, everybody, for braving the rain and coming and hanging out with us. Thanks, come back soon. We'll see you next week.
Hopefully, thank you very much. Thanks, guys, for sticking around. If you like the movie, recommend it to your friends in this universe and others. Hopefully it comes out soon. And yeah, you can tweet about it, #parallel, so that more people hears about it, and hopefully the film gets released soon. Thank you.